the cuss words out now. Before we
Good thing we
go.
don't curse, so we can start right away.
Exactly. So we
Can
are
I just be
live,
honest for a
everybody.
second, John, before we go live?
Do it. We're
I'm
already
having a
live, but
frustrating day.
a
Frustrating day
frustrating
today.
day.
But
Hey, you know what?
I'm happy to be here because this usually helping people is what alleviates my frustration. So I'm excited about today's Q&A because it's the medicine to my symptom.
I love it. I love the transparency, man. I think that there's some people that would just want to put on a let's just act like we're cheery all the time and every day is perfect, and it's just not reality. So I appreciate
Yeah, man.
your forward thinking and just being like, hey, sometimes you have frustrating days.
Yeah. If
I've
you've
had
ever
some
had a
frustrating
frustrating
days.
day, go ahead and say you've had a frustrating day. I'd like to know that I'm not alone in the frustration of
Really? Me
life.
too.
So go
I
ahead and
would
put
like
that
to
in the
know.
comments.
If you
Yeah.
ever been frustrated, say, yeah, I've been frustrated. Let us know. If you're watching live, type the word live. If you're having a great day, help cheer us up. When you have great days, we have great days, right? So, all right, good stuff. So we're here to do just a Q&A session. So we don't have an agenda for you outlined. We have been getting a lot of questions in over the last couple of weeks that we haven't been able to answer live. So if you guys if you don't have any questions today, we'll just try and answer some of the questions that have been coming in. But take advantage of this time right now. We're here to answer your questions. That's what we do this Q&A session for. It's a question and answer. We want to help you out. And so drop those questions in the chat right now. Let us know what you're struggling with. Really what we'd love to show you is specifically if you have questions around how to get students into your school for free. We've got some awesome strategies on that we can help work through. But if you have questions about that specifically, definitely would love to answer those questions. But it doesn't have to be about that. It could be anything. Whatever challenges you're facing right now as far as getting students in the school, whether it's through free avenues, through paid avenues, if you've been trying to run ads or if you got a website that's not doing anything or whatever it is. We'd love to answer those questions for you live here. And we're going to start compiling those questions as they come in. But let's just start out with just saying like, hi. I can see people are watching. I can see we have people on live. If you're on with us live, just say hi. We're not going to like spam your inbox with a million messages if you just say hi to us. We just want to know you're on here. We want to interact. But more importantly, what I know for a fact is engagement increases the value you get out of this. So if you're here watching, just by typing hi, you're going to increase the value you get from this. So, and if you do more than that, if you take it a step further and actually ask a question, man, is the value going to go up for you? Because you're going to see, we'll answer the question. We're going to be totally transparent. We're going to give you the best answer we know. We might be able to point you to some resources. So, the engagement is, of course, it's good for the Facebook algorithm and it helps more people see the live stream and blah, 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 all that stuff. But really it's about you who are watching this. And I see a number here of people that are watching live, and I'm hoping to see that many comments, at least the hello or a hi. Just let us know you're with us. We're here. We're putting ourselves out there just to answer your questions. And we just want to know you're here. So we'll say hi. We'll say hi back. How about that? How about that?
Yeah, I think, John, if you're good, we can dive right in. I did get some questions that came in, a lot of people messaging and commenting on the posts and sending me messages. So lots of hellos coming in. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it. Glad you're on. Kathy and I haven't talked before, so I'm excited to see if Kathy has any questions. But we had a question come in from Cindy Joyce. She wanted to know if she were to launch new marketing, specifically Facebook marketing, a proven system, because she's going to be joining the Student Magnet in a couple weeks, which is very exciting for her.
Awesome.
Does she need to revamp her website? Does she need to get a new website? How would you kind of say, John? I think that it falls in the tier of a lot of questions like, all right, I want to grow. What's the first thing I should do to grow? Because I think that kind of connects to that.
Totally. A lot of avenues to go. I'd say if you're looking for the fastest, easiest, cheapest way, forget about the website, forget about all that stuff. Focus on the Facebook ads and just get through. If you join the Student Magnet, hallelujah, because that's the fastest, easiest, best process that we know is to get Facebook ads set up. So good for you on joining that. If you haven't joined that yet, just let us know and we can help direct you and see if it's a good fit for you. But definitely do not have to do anything on the website. In fact, we've had a lot of schools that joined the Student Magnet that didn't even have a website, or they had a website from like literally like 1997 that still had like, just the weirdest looking. You remember what websites looked like in 1997. It looks like that. So you don't have to worry about that. Just, once you get into the training, just bust through all that. You'll be in and out of that so fast and have some ads up and running, because the way that the Facebook ads, just to kind of give some more detail on that as people are joining the live streams. I see we got some more coming on. Welcome everybody for just joining us. We're basically answering the question of, what's the best, fastest way to get students to the door as far as marketing goes. So definitely Facebook ads. The way we set up our Facebook ads, it never ends up on your website. It all stays on Facebook, which is what Facebook loves. They want more people to spend more time on their platform, because that's what they're all about. The more time you spend on there, the more eyeballs they have on other ads. And so that's how they keep it. So the more that they can keep you on their platform, the better. And so that's where the way we set up the ads is we keep it on Facebook. They'll click your ad. It'll open up a form on Facebook. It'll pre-fill all their information. So if you're advertising to moms, for example, like a free week of whatever you teach, they'll click the ad. It'll pre-fill their information with what they already have filled in on Facebook. They just click submit, agree, boom. Now you have their information, and now you're able to follow up. And then again, if you're using our Student Magnet program, we have automation set up already to where as soon as they do that stuff, it's connected behind the scenes to the follow-up stuff. It sends them follow-up messages. It books the appointment. All that stuff happens automatically. So long answer to a short question. You don't need to do anything to your website. You don't need to rebrand or do any kind of rehauls or a new website or any of that stuff. Just the Facebook ads will do it. That's the fastest way. You could easily add, 100 students, 150 students before you ever had to worry about doing a website. If that answers the question.
I love it. Well, kind of speaking of websites, what would you say is the purpose of a website?
So yeah, good question. It is 2023. So I think if you don't have a website, no one's going to know you exist. So obviously that's sort of like the base, like you got to have a website if you want to be like a credible business. But the purpose in my mind of a website is to generate students, right? It's like a billboard for your school that is there. And there's a lot of side things that it can do. Like it can give information to current students. It can serve as like a membership portal. It can serve as a place to collect payments. All that stuff is like way down on the list. Top number one thing is lead generation, and not just any old lead. We want qualified, like people who are actually interested in coming in and trying your school. That's the main purpose of it. And so, there's definitely a way to optimize a site. I don't know that we should get into all that on this particular, but if you have questions about that, like specifically about how to optimize the site, I'd love to answer those questions too. But as far as I get into that, I don't think I will. Lead generation is the number one purpose of a website. And by that, I just mean it has a way to quickly collect name, email, phone number of people who are interested in trying your school, like with integrity, like not just snagging their information, but like actually them having a want and a desire to try your school, and then opting in or giving you their name, email, phone number so that you can contact them to set up their first lesson. That's my opinion on what a website's purpose is. Anything that you would add to that, Travis?
No, I think, and a lot of this can feel overwhelming because everybody's in a different spot. So if it's something that you're like, all right, well, based on where I'm at right now in my school and trying to get students, if you're kind of not sure what exit ramp or what on ramp you're supposed to be taking, just go ahead and type the word game in the comments and we'll just connect with you and see where you're at and just kind of give you some free advice onto, what specifically is going to work for your location and your needs. If you just type the word game, because we've helped, it's probably almost 450 school owners at this point, really just grow their schools consistently every single month. And everybody's in a different spot. It might be a website, might be Facebook ads, might be different tuition. Everybody's in a different place, but we do know the proven process for really all of those things to get you in the right direction. So sometimes it can feel overwhelming. So that's our whole goal of this group, and our whole goal of maybe doing a call with y'all is just to provide clarity. We love providing clarity so people can see, all right, here's the path that I need to take. Here's the GPS of how I'm getting to where I want my school to be. So that's all I would add
Exactly.
to, because it can get like websites and Facebook ads, and it's like it can feel like, all right, that's great, but I still don't necessarily know specifically what works for me or what needs to work or what I need to do. So we love providing clarity. So just type the word game in the comments and we'll reach out and schedule a call and just, again, give you a free kind of consultation on to what's the best strategy for you specifically.
Yep, exactly. And nothing for sale on those calls. We just do those as a courtesy, as a way to build a relationship,
Yep.
and if we can point you in the direction of good resources, we'll do that. And whatever it takes to get you the results that you're looking for. So
Right.
definitely do that.
I think of those
Awesome.
as like, hey, I'm an expert and I just met you at a birthday party and you're like, oh my gosh, Travis, that's what you do? Like, yeah. Hey, why don't we grab some coffee and talk about you? And so that's really kind of how I look at those game plans, is like, if we just met in person randomly, we had a mutual connection and you realize that I'm an expert at what you need. Let's just grab some
Right.
coffee and let me give you some insight into what would be good. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So other
Exactly.
questions coming in, and anything you want to add to that, John, or you want me to jump right
No,
into the next questions?
let's get into the next questions.
All right. So the next question that came in through text message, someone texted me this question. They wanted to know about seasonality, because we're all feeling the back to school or the end of school, sorry, the end of school, end of events and things like that. And it's kind of like on the back of everybody's mind that summer is coming. It kind of made me think of like Game of Thrones, like winter is coming, summer is coming. And there's concern, okay, I'm going to lose students. I got to buckle down because I'm not going to be able to grow during the summer. So I really just need to start looking at September. What would you say to owners that are feeling the stress of summer is coming?
I'd say it's a natural thing that a lot of school owners feel, and it's usually a symptom of a problem that has to do with a process that is consistent. So if you've got a process that's built in, uh, that kind of ebb and flow it gets raised to a new level. So there's still always going to be ups and downs. There's still going to be some seasonality to things in general. Like anybody that tells you it's just like a straight line going up, I mean, I'd love to talk to them, but I've never experienced it myself. There's always some little ebb and flow. But if you have a proven process in place for enrolling students, then what you see is, if your normal ebb and flow is like one or two students and then nothing, and then one or two, and then four leave, if you raise that bottom, I guess the hygiene level, right, to 5 to 10 students, 3 to 4 added, 6 to 10. If your bar is raised, those seasons hurt less because you're always picking up new students and you're getting your stuff in front of people at different times. And to get back to Facebook ads real quick, like if you've got your ads set up correctly, that algorithm is so smart at finding the people who are in your target audience that are the right people at the right time. And if you got the right offer for them, I mean, it's really consistent. And then if you add to that a website that is optimized for Google, and you add to that some follow-up stuff, and you add to that a Google business profile, as you keep piling on layers to that, the consistency really does balance out. And it's so funny when we look at reports, like, somebody that's been running Facebook ads, they're going to look like this line like this. And then you add in websites, and then it kind of like fills in all the gaps. And then you add in the Google business chats, and like all this stuff just kind of balances things out. So, nothing's ever a straight line by itself, but as you continue to evolve in your process, you can definitely create a lot more consistency. And I think if you're not feeling that, it's just because there's part of that process is missing. You might be really great. I mean, I would assume everybody watching this is really great at their instructing. Like they're great at teaching. They're great at developing leaders. They're great at developing students. All that stuff's probably dialed in. Because we probably wouldn't have let you in the group if it wasn't. Usually we have, that's like kind of our barrier. Like if you're just not teaching good classes, we can usually tell just kind of by looking at your profile or asking a couple of questions before you join. So my assumption is that you're already doing great at that stuff. Some of you might also be great at signing people up when they come in. If you got referrals and they're like, anytime somebody brings their friend in, Like they sign right up, or maybe you go out and do events and people are like, yeah, every time I go to an event, people sign up. If you're feeling the ebbs and flows and you're good at that, you might be missing a consistent way to get people in the door. You might be missing, or maybe people are showing up and for some reason they're not enrolling. You got a good system to get people in the door. You need a better system at enrolling people. And I think a big mistake that some school owners make is if they're getting a bunch of people in the door and no one's signing up, they think it's the problem of the leads, this lead quality, right? If you've ever seen Glenn Gary and Ross, yeah, I want those good leads. Give me the good leads, right? And what I've found is that, of course, there is something to be said about, are there some leads better than others? Yes. But for the most part, what we found is that if you have good leads, if a lead is good enough to walk in your door, something's probably not working in the process of helping them go from that lead to a paying student. So there's probably some process that needs some work there. So this is what we help people with. If you're interested in learning about any of that stuff, just type the word game in the comments. Be happy to go over that stuff with you on a call, 5 to 15 minutes. Just shine some light on it and see maybe where that is. It's a lot easier for us to troubleshoot a system one-on-one on a call.
Yeah.
In a group setting like this, where we're streaming to multiple platforms and trying to manage chat between YouTube and Facebook groups and, wherever else through a text message and on our live stream page, it's a little bit tricky to get specific, but feel free to answer those questions. Just type the word game and we get real specific with you about your school.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we had another question come in. Sheila McGovern. Thanks, Sheila, for the question. This is a question a lot of school owners have. Google ads versus Facebook ads. What should you focus on or spend the most money on?
Ooh, love it. Controversial question. Thanks, Sheila. So I would say definitely by far Facebook ads wins in amount to spent and results to get. There's definitely a time for Google ads, but it's one of those things that you layer on. So it's kind of like the frosting on the cake. Everybody loves frosting, but you can't just put frosting 3 feet high, right? So you get the Facebook ads. I mean, I guess you could. Yeah. Maybe that's a bad example. What day of the week is it? Is it Saturday? Because that's cheat day. If it's you could maybe do it. Anyway, the idea is Facebook they just have a better platform. They have better targeting. They have a better way of reaching people. And here's why. When people go on Google, if you're paying for Google ads, there's 2 different ways to pay for Google ads. You can do display ads, which are the kind of ads that when you go to a website and then you see like an ad on another website for something like, maybe you did a search for like buying a new grill, and then all of a sudden every website you go to, whether it's a news website or it's something else, you see ads for grills. Those are usually called retargeting ads, but they're known as display ads, which means they just kind of pop up all over the internet. Then there are search ads, which is when somebody goes to Google and they type in, where can I find a restaurant near me? And then you see ads for the restaurants. So That's a search ad. Search ads are always going to be more expensive because the intent of the person searching is higher than just displaying it to somebody on a website, right? And so it's going to be more expensive, but it can also be valuable. You're limited by the number of searches that are happening in your area. And then the bidding, the process of all that stuff gets complicated because it takes into account competition, and it takes into account what the volume of search is. And so it's inconsistent as far as being your only or first strategy. Is Google ads I'm talking about. Whereas Facebook ads, the thing about Facebook ads that's so genius is that they spent so much time figuring out how to get people to spend time on Facebook before they ever even sold ads. And that was super smart of them. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. But like, they have engineered Facebook to make you want to spend time just scrolling, right? And what the Facebook ads do is they just pop in there and they look like a post. So they really kind of blend in. The only way you can really tell between an ad and a post is a little thing that says sponsored in super light gray letters. if you now you could make it look like an ad, which is another mistake a lot of school owners make, is they'll put like a bunch of text on the picture and they'll make it look like a flyer and they'll make it like special, come, blah, blah. You know, they're trying to make it look like an ad, and that's actually what gets people to just scroll even faster past it. If your ad looks like just a normal post as people are scrolling through, it just kind of blends right into the platform and it gets people to look at it. There's so many people, I guarantee everyone watching here, there are 50 to 100,000 people, 50 to 100,000 women, I should say, probably more like 100 to 200,000 people around your school right now, no matter how small your town is, that you could display your ad to infinitely for the rest of time and max your school out, fill up every class just on Facebook ads. I guarantee that audience is there. And so we always start with Facebook ads. Plus, their tracking is better. We can really see, what to expect, how many leads we should get, what we can spend on those, and how to really monetize it fast. And the other thing is you're getting in front of people who Google would never get in front of, because Facebook has this little thing. Even though there's all these privacies and data law, all this stuff, and the iOS 14 update, maybe you heard of that if you're really following the digital news, where all of a sudden Apple stopped sharing information about the users with Facebook. Even with all that stuff, Facebook knows so much about the people on their sites because most people allow it. Like they'll go to a website and then that website does a thing called cookies, which goes on your computer and sends information back to Facebook and Facebook pixels. And, if you're clicking on ads on Facebook for other things, it tracks that. So it knows all about the people on there. And so when you go into Facebook as an advertiser, as an individual, it's almost like, ugh, do I want Facebook knowing that much about me? But as an advertiser, you're like, it's Christmas, because you can say, show this ad to people who like this, and it goes in front of those people. So Google doesn't really have that kind of technology as far as the targeting, and they charge more still. So definitely, I'd say if you want percentages, I'd say if you're spending $10 a day on Facebook, don't bother spending anything on Google because you'll get way more bang for your buck. If you're spending $100 a day on Facebook, you could probably spend $10 a day on Google. About 10% of your Facebook budget go to Google. So hopefully that's helpful. I don't know if it was too detailed of an answer, but.
So kind of to just give some straight clarity for people that aren't in the weeds of Google and Facebook, I know this is going to be an average and this is going to vary a lot, but in your experience, John, because again, we've helped so many schools do this. We know we let numbers really decide our decisions. This isn't just like, oh, we're making this up. We let numbers dictate. If Google was financially better, then Google would be it, right? So from a numbers standpoint, what would you say is the average lead and or student enrollment cost in Google versus Facebook?
Perfect. Good question. Okay. So I would say from both platforms, you're going to see about 10% of your leads actually turn into students on average. So that might be devastating to some of you where you think, oh my gosh, 90% of my leads are just going to be nothing. Yep. And that's pretty much that's been the crux of it for as long as I can remember. I mean, we used to do postcards and that was even lower. If you sent out 10,000 postcards, you'd be lucky to get a 0.5%. So 10% is amazing. So if you think about the lead cost, it really gets exponential, right? Because if you can get leads on Facebook for, let's say, $10 to $20, that means you can pay $100 to $200 for a student, right? But if you're getting leads on Google, which the average is probably 30 to 60, that's a huge difference, right? That goes from $300 to $600 per student. Depending, right? And so now we've seen some schools get leads for $5. Even to this day, I used to think that was just a fantasy of 2015 to get $5 leads. But what happens is a lot of our members get their ads up and running and they just have such success. They don't even care to share with us what their success is. But recently I've even seen schools still getting leads for as low as $5. Some schools have to pay upwards of 20 to 25. And usually if your tuition is really high, so most of the school owners that I see that are getting leads for $5, their tuition's low. They're in a smaller area. They don't have a lot of competition around, and they're not charging that much for their tuition. And they shouldn't be, because the area is low. Whereas on the other side, you've got schools that are in like really high income areas where the demographics can support a much higher tuition, and they're charging $300 a month, and they're probably paying $25 a lead because they have more competition, not just with other schools, but just in general. More advertisers are targeting that audience because it's a more affluent audience. People are making more money. There's more restaurants. There's more everything in the area. So naturally, the cost is going to be higher. But because their tuition is also higher, the percentages balance out. So what we found basically is that if you have a good system in place, Facebook ads are definitely going to pay for themselves, because if you pay, let's say, $15 a lead, as that lead comes in and pays for a paid trial, it basically is paying for like 5 leads if you sell a paid trial for $67. So when you have that system in place, if 1 out of 10 are going to become a student, that means 2 out of 10 are probably going to pay for a trial. And if 2 out of 10 are paying for a trial, those 2 are going to pay for all of your ads on Facebook. So there's this kind of flywheel effect, which is why we love Facebook too, because it kind of pays for itself if you've got a good system in place. Whereas
That's
Google,
awesome.
it's a little less predictable. The leads are more expensive. I'd say if you know what your lead cost is on Facebook, you can probably 2x that, and that's probably what it's going to be on Google. Of course, they're going to be a little bit higher quality because, again, they're people that are actually out looking for whatever you're teaching. And so because of that, the show rates are higher if you set an appointment, and enrollment rates are a little higher because they're already looking for it. They're kind of past that decision-making process. I'm talking about Google search ads, by the way. I don't really recommend doing any display ads on Google unless you really have a high budget already on Facebook, and then you're doing a little bit of retargeting, like a tiny little amount. So hopefully that's quantifying.
Yeah, hopefully. And if that doesn't answer your question, Sheila, just give us a thumbs up if that does give you some more clarity. Or if anybody, if you're getting value out of this, go ahead, just type us value. Feel like, we want to make sure we're giving you what you need. So if this isn't what you need, say, hey, Travis, John, I need something else, man, and tell us what it is. But if you're getting value, if this is providing clarity, just give us a thumbs up, or if you could comment value, that just, again, tells us, hey, this is what's helpful for you as a school owner. And if you have any other questions, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Questions were coming in. If you have any other questions, go ahead and just throw them in the chat. This again can sound like a lot. It's like, all right, that's a lot. We really have all this dialed in. So all you can, our schools that use a student magnet, they don't even really have to worry about all this stuff. They can just follow the recipe. I call it the macaroni and cheese method. They just follow the macaroni and cheese recipe, implement the steps, and students come in the door. They don't have to sit there and be like, well, my Google ad spend needs to be 10% of what's my audience. Like, it's just follow the steps and get people in the door. So if that's something you're looking for, that's kind of just built up, just type the word game in the comments, and we'll talk about, hey, is it something that can help you, your school, your students, more enrollments coming in the door. So one question that's been coming in a lot, John, and so far this is the last question I have. So if anybody else has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Is the idea that sometimes they're running into students and families that are causing culture issues in their school. And I know we talk a lot about in this group, hey, getting more students in the door, right? How would you help a school owner that's dealing with really a culture clash, I would say, in the instruction, whereas maybe it's a student or a parent of a student, or maybe a couple students just aren't getting along, and it's creating cultural issues? Because we all know culture is really, really important, right? If I have 300 students that are of different mindsets and different values, that's going to be constant conflict. So how would you address any type of culture issues that are creating conflict within the school itself?
I love it. It's a great question. So when you're saying culture issues, I'm assuming you're saying like an overbearing parent or somebody that doesn't want to kind of follow along with the way that you've envisioned your school to operate. They want to kind of buck the system, or they want to tell you how to run the school, right?
Yeah.
or maybe,
or they're just constantly at battle with everything or other people. They're just not buying into the environment and the system that you've really created for your school.
Yeah. in 1985, they took a couple of lessons and now they're the expert on how to run your business. Those kind of
Yeah.
people. Yeah. So it's a great question. I love it. So it's something that some school owners do run into pretty frequently. And interestingly enough, what I've found to solve that issue is actually the process of getting new students in. So that might sound a little convoluted. So hear me out for a second. If you've got a couple of people coming through the door every day, and you know that new people are always signing up for classes and they're always coming in. If you run into someone that you just know for a fact is not going to be a good fit for the school, not going to be a good fit for the culture, it's really easy to let them know, hey, I don't think this is going to be a good fit, but here's, maybe you would fit in better at another, not to say that you want to send bad bad culture to another competitor in the area or a rival, but you might find that somebody's culture or the way that they carry themselves might fit somewhere else better. It's really easy if you have a flow of new people coming in all the time to keep your integrity and be like, I don't think it's going to be a good fit. I want to thank you for coming in. I think it probably would be better maybe in a couple years, or how to feel that stuff out, right? When it becomes difficult, and even for a current student, if you got a student that's been there for, a couple of years and they've been just a thorn in your side the whole time because of this culture clash, if you have new people coming in all the time and you're growing, it's really easy to, I'm not saying you just like oust people and kick them out and you're not a good fit, get out of here. But sometimes there comes a point where it's like, maybe this isn't the best fit for little Johnny or little Emma. Perhaps you should take a little break, right? It's easy to say that if you got a new flow of people coming in. It's really hard to say that if you don't know where your next student is coming from, right? If you don't know where your next student's coming from and you're just kind of like making bills and you got somebody who's a real pain in the neck and you know that their friends or their mom is friends with the other moms, and if they leave, they're going to make a big stink and take 3 or 4 students with them. I mean, if that starts cutting into your bottom line, it's hard to keep your integrity, which is really what it's about, right? It's about having the integrity to create that culture in your school. And in order to do that, you've got to have new people coming in all the time so that you can be confident in saying, look, if they leave, it's actually a good thing because it's going to help the new people coming in embrace the new culture, the indoctrination that that you're putting them through. Right. And
Yeah.
so does that kind of answer the question there, Travis?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. It was the same thing. I mean, really with anything, when I coached football for a long time, if we had small numbers, a troublemaking kid or family, it was kind of hard because then that hurts everybody if we don't have enough, right? And it hurts the growth. Whereas if we have a ton of kids, it's not to punish anybody. It's just, it's not good for anybody to be in a combative situation. So the best thing is to just have a full calendar of people coming in the door. So that way you can make sure it's a good fit for your school. And honestly, everybody that's coming in is a good fit for them. And that's why we do those game plan calls. The same exact reason is because anybody we work with, we want to make sure that we're successful with them.
Yep.
Because the last thing we want to do is bring someone in that it's not going to be successful for. Because who does that benefit? Who does that help? Right? You're not happy and you're going to voice it to us, which makes us not happy. And then it's just this whole thing. So yeah, the best thing I've found in really any environment when it comes to a culture or kind of like personality clash is full calendars fill most problems. I won't say all, but they fix most problems. It gives you a lot of power to be able to really just do things the way that you want to do them without cutting corners or anything like that. And kind of speaking to that, Angie had a question that came in. And again, this is last question I have on the list. Unless someone else has it, go ahead and put it in the comments. Angie wants to know, and she has a small school. How can she make it stand out against larger schools in her area? I love this question because it's I just right in the wheelhouse of what we've helped so many people do, John. So how would you tell a small school owner, what would you tell them to do to stand out against the larger entities in their community?
All right. I love this. So this is really kind of what we specialize in is smaller schools standing out amongst larger ones. There is a section of the audience in that city, wherever you're located, Angie, who would rather attend a smaller school than a big school. And they are looking for that more intimate, more kind of like hands-on small class approach that the bigger schools can't deliver on, or just the perception. maybe some of the bigger schools can deliver on that, but the perception of a good portion of that audience is looking for exactly what you are offering right now. So in order to stand out, really you just have to become known in that community. And the number one way to be quickly known is a simple Facebook ad for a free week of classes. And if you need help setting that up, we can definitely get you tuned in on that and show you the exact method for that. That's going to get your name out in front of enough people, more people than you can probably handle. Just a simple Facebook ad for a free week of lessons. And we can show you how to implement that. We have definitely some strategies as far as, because there is a process around it, right? If it was just as easy as slapping up an ad or boosting a post for a free week and filling up your school, everybody would be doing that already. So there's certainly a process around it. If you're interested in learning about more of our process, we'd love to get on a call with you. Quick game plan call, 5 to 15 minutes, nothing for sale, but we can actually help dial in and see maybe there's some other aspects of your school that we could even help more as far as helping you stand out from those larger schools. But I would say if you're just looking for a quick tip, definitely getting yourself in front of that audience, because that's really what it comes down to. And what's beautiful about Facebook is Facebook doesn't care if you're a big or a small school. They're gonna put your ad right there. Probably if you set it up the way we show you how to set it up the right way, you're going to get in front of people even more than some of those big schools. Because what I found is that some of the really large studios, they don't really know much about Facebook advertising. And so you could really kind of come in and sort of like an untapped audience there, because a lot of those larger schools are kind of banking on past experience or just banking on their reputation, word of mouth, referrals. And they've gotten to a point where they've kind of like grown to the point they want to grow to, and they're not really growing anymore. So they're just kind of like plateaued at this point, and they're cool with that. They're happy, and they're replacing students with, everybody has students that quit. So they're taking their attrition and they're just adding with word of mouth. Usually word of mouth will keep you pretty level when you get to a certain point. So I would say, definitely.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of big school owners, and they're doing 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a month in revenue, lots of students. And they have Facebook ads going, and they don't care if they work or not, because it's just they have other stuff going. Yeah. So they're not even like utilizing the system or Instagram the best they can with their marketing. And like John said, it's Facebook doesn't care how big your school is. And if you think about another model that if you need evidence that there's a demand for that, look at private schools. We live in an area in Georgia where the school systems are amazing, and people are still willing to pay $20,000, $30,000 a year for their kid to go to a school because they want their kid in a classroom with 10 other students instead of 30. Even though the private school is an amazing school, has all kinds of resources and things like that, people are paying top dollar to get their kid in private school because they want that individual specialized attention that your school can really provide. So I think there's a huge advantage. If you can get an ad in front of people, you'll actually be surprised how much people appreciate that you're going to give, in their mind, more attentive instruction. And that's not a knock on the bigger schools or anything like that. It's just that's how some people will perceive it. There's a huge subset of people in your community that want a smaller private school. There's a huge subset of people in the community that want a larger school. And the larger schools can't meet everyone can't meet everyone's needs. So we just need to get a message in front of people that meet what you're looking for and what you offer. And it's really simple. So if that's something that you kind of would like to explore a little bit more, what that would look like for your school, just go ahead and type the word game. And I'd love to talk to Angie and just see how things are going at your school and see if that's the right path for you. It might not be without getting too detailed into specifics, which is hard in chat message, comments on a video. Right. So definitely just type the word in game and we'll find some time to chat. Cindy has a question. Cindy also is planning on to join the student magnet here soon. Nice. She wants to know, what about Instagram?
Yeah.
And I can connect the idea of Instagram to Facebook if you can kind of
dive into that. Yeah. I sometimes, like you said earlier, I'm in the weeds of it. So I forget sometimes that it's not common knowledge to know that Facebook ads actually includes Instagram. So when you run an ad in Meta, so Meta is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram and all sorts of other kind of tech things. So Meta Business Manager is where we run the ads for Facebook, and we automatically send them right over to Instagram too. So Yeah, it's synonymous, I guess. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, it's pretty much the same thing. What's nice about the Meta Business Manager is it lets the artificial intelligence decide where to put the ad based on where it thinks the audience is going to be. So some schools will see more traffic go to Instagram automatically. Some will go more to Facebook automatically. If you set it up inside a Meta Business Manager the correct way, um, it just lets the machine do it for you. That's a great thing about advertising. It's a great time to be alive, really, because machines are making things so much easier to do things. Travis and I were just messing around with some artificial intelligence earlier, and it saved us like 3 hours of work just in like 10
Right.
minutes. So it's a
Yeah.
great time to be alive for advertising and business owning for sure. So we'd love to plug you into those resources. Just type the word game and we'll get you set up on that. And
Absolutely. And yeah, just to kind of reiterate the idea of Instagram, we always use Facebook synonymously because it's the owner. We just let the algorithm smarter than us. So for us to sit there, hey, this is definitely going to work on Instagram, or this is only going to work on Facebook. Just let the algorithm owns it both. So just put the ingredients in front of the chef and let him make the dinner, and that's kind of what the algorithm does for us.
exactly.
So if it's gonna determine there's a good audience on Instagram, it'll do it, and it'll drive traffic on Instagram. If there's a better audience on Facebook, it'll do it. And the nice thing is, for people that are on our student magnet, they don't have to like guess like what am I supposed to do here. Literally lay out step by step. So Cindy, when the student magnet starts for you, you're going to have everything's going to be really just mapped out for you with the end result of getting people in the door, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, all those types of things. It's just going to be mapped out for you, so you don't have to figure it out. You can just focus on people coming in the door and you getting them enrolled in classes. That's all.
Definitely. Awesome. Is that it? Is that all the questions we got?
Let me just double check here.
Looks like
I was just messaging Angie because I know she's excited to chat. Yep. Cindy said that's what she was thinking, but So yeah, Angie, that's just us because we just get caught up in the system of the owner of Facebook. But
right.
yeah,
Exactly.
definitely connects with both. So that's all I see, John. So that is, I think that's it. A wrap for the Q&A.
Sweet.
Thanks for everybody for your questions.
Yeah.
Definitely provided some energy for me personally. I know we talked about being just frustrated at the beginning of the call, but anytime I can give somebody, reminds me of a pastor of mine in Florida. He told me once, hey, be what you need. And sometimes when we need someone to build us up, we should just need to go out and build other people up. And that actually fills us more than if someone were to try to build us up. So hopefully what we did today provided value and built up your confidence and brought some vision and positivity to your day about what's possible for your school. If so, and if you want to talk more, just type the word game, like we've said, and we'd love to just chat about what's going on. I love learning about school owners and what they have going on. So that is what that's for. I don't know if you want to touch any more on that, John.
No, I think that's great, man. I mean, yeah, if you're interested in jumping on a quick call with us, type the word game. And if we can add any value to you, just let us know in the comments. Also, I think we forgot to mention a lot, but even though this is a live Q&A, if you have questions that come up and you're watching the replay, type those in the comments and let us know what your questions are. And we're happy to just jump in and answer those questions via chat, or just type the word game if you're watching the replay, and we'll jump on a call with you and we'll get those questions answered with you live. So awesome. I think that's good for me. We're 45 minutes in. It was a great session. Got a lot of questions answered. So hopefully you guys got some value out of this. And we're here every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks for joining us here. And it's always a great time for me. I always love being on these Q&A calls. This is my favorite type of live stream that we do. So hope you guys got some value, and we will see you next time.